All right, so hi everybody. So I do want to let you know my mic is broken, so maybe the sound quality won't be as good this week. If you have troubles hearing me, please let me know. Yes, but anyways, hopefully things are okay. So hi everybody. Oh, the sound is coming out. Give me 1 second, getting some feedback here. Okay. So yes, okay, so tonight we're going to be working on something. We're going to be working on something called complex sentences. So a lot of students have asked me about this, especially if you're trying to score a 7 on the IELTS exam. Especially if you want to score 7, I won't need to make this sure. If you want to score 7 on the IELTS exam, for both your writing and speaking parts, they ask you to have lots of complex sentences. And even outside of the IELTS exam, other English exams, and just speaking and writing in general, you need to be able to make complex sentences. So first, I need to tell you what a complex sentence is. So I'm going to write down a couple things up on the board. So you can see that I've written 2 sentences up on the board. First is I like chocolate. After that, we have I like vanilla more. Now, these are what we call simple sentences. Simple sentences generally follow the subject, verb, object order. Now, if you want to impress people in English, you have to be able to produce sentences that are more complicated. They are complex. So these are not complex sentences. So how can we make them complex? So I'm going to give you the definition of a complex sentence so you understand why these are not complex. So the reason why these are not complex is because complex sentences must have this. They must have one independent clause or one complete sentence. In addition to that, I'm going to erase this IELTS 7. In addition to the one complete sentence, they need to have one or more dependent or incomplete sentences. So I want to make sure this is clear. You need a complete sentence, always one, and then one or more, could be 2, could be 3, incomplete sentences. And then that becomes complex. If you look here, this is just a complete sentence. There's no incomplete sentence. That's why this is not complex. So to make this complex, there are many different possible ways. So I'm going to highlight some of the ways that you can do that. So one of the first ways that you can do that is by using something called relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. So what are relative pronouns? So you may already know them. Relative pronouns are the words like who, which, that, whom, whose, where. These are relative pronouns. Once you use the relative pronoun, the sentence immediately becomes complex. Okay? Now, in this sentence, it would be very difficult to do that, so I'm going to give you another sentence. My neighbor, Jim, who is a lawyer, is rich. So, if you take a look at this, my neighbor, Jim, who is a lawyer, is rich. Now, can you identify where the complete sentence is and where the incomplete sentence is? So from here, you should be able to identify that my neighbor Jim is the complete sentence. Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. My neighbor Jim is rich. My neighbor Jim is rich. This is the complete sentence. The incomplete sentence is who is a lawyer. Because I have who, that will make it complex. This sentence is complex because of the pronoun. I'll give you another example with a relative pronoun. My job, I want to erase this. My job, where my friend works, is tiring. Once again, you'll notice my job is tiring. This is the complete sentence. Incomplete sentence, where my friend works. We have the relative pronoun. That's why it is a complete sentence. So if you want to make a complex sentence, you can use a relative pronoun. So a lot of you already know how to do that. I won't spend too much time on this, but yes, if you have any concerns about relative pronouns, then definitely I can go over a few more examples, but that's one way, okay? That's just one way. There are many other ways. Okay, what's the second way? The second way is using something called subordinate clauses. Now, subordinate clauses, some words are always subordinate clauses. There's no reason why, they just are. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to give you a list of some subordinate clauses so you have an idea about what I'm talking about. If I say my neighbor Jim is rich, who is a lawyer, is it considered a complex sentence? That is fine, yes, because, so Miss Hugh is asking this question. My neighbor Jim is rich, who is a lawyer. Is this a complex sentence? Yes, it is a complex sentence. It's fine. But the thing is, well, it's a little bit strange because usually if you say, my neighbor Jim is rich, who is a lawyer, it's technically correct, but it's odd because when you say who is a lawyer, it's kind of focusing on the noun phrase of Jim is rich, so it may be confusing. So I wouldn't write it that way because it sounds confusing, but it's okay. Wait, let me check that out for a second. My neighbor Jim. I would not write it that way. Actually, it should be wrong because the noun phrase, then it loses focus. You should write it as my neighbor, who is a lawyer, is rich. Yes. Yeah, that should be wrong, actually. I would not write it that way. Subordinate clauses. So I'll give you some words that are subordinate clauses. Things like while, until, before, after, during, whereas. Okay? These are all called subordinate clauses. So there are many others. I didn't write them all down because there's just too many. But these are subordinate clauses. Whenever you use them, the sentence will become complex. So I'll give you an example. She was eating lunch while watching TV. She was eating lunch while watching TV. Sorry, no comma. You'll notice here, once again, where the complete sentence is. She was eating lunch, complete sentence, while watching TV. Incomplete. I cannot just say while watching TV and then finish it off. So you'll notice, just because I used while, you immediately have to make it complex. There's no choice. Okay. I'll give you another example. He went to work after eating breakfast. Once again, you will see it quite quickly. He went to work is the complete sentence. I could put a period or full stop here, or I can use some subordinate clause, like after. This becomes a complex sentence because this is incomplete. Eating breakfast. So you'll notice, once you use a subordinate clause, it also becomes a complex sentence. Good question. Any other concerns, please continue to ask me. So remember, we went over relative clauses, who, which, that, whom, whose, where. We went over subordinate clauses. We're going to go to the third kind. These are called conditional clauses. So conditional clauses, I think you may already know. Usually, you use the word if. So the words that you can use, there are a few. We use if. You can also use when. When can make a conditional clause. There are other if ones. So if you're writing or speaking and you want to make your language better, you don't only have to use if. You can use something like provided that, or as long as. These are a few examples. There are many more. Just remember, whenever you have a conditional clause, so anything that means if, would be a complex sentence. So I'll give you an example. If we sleep late, we will wake up late. So you'll notice this is the complete sentence. We will wake up late. The incomplete sentence is if we sleep late. So that is a complex sentence. And we can use anything, right? We can use provided that. If we put provided that we sleep late, we will wake up late. Same thing. This we will wake up late is the complete sentence. Provided that, or if we sleep late, is the incomplete sentence. So conditional clauses are also always complex sentences. So, just to recap again, relative pronouns, subordinate clauses, conditional clauses, linkers is what we're going to move on to next. Linkers. What do I mean by linkers? So, if you've been following me for a bit, I always talk about the triangle of evil, and, but, and because. These are very low-level words. You can use higher or more advanced or complex linkers. So I will just verbally give you some examples. I'll write one here. You can write or say in addition, right? That's better than and. For and, you can also use moreover, furthermore, additionally. But you can use something like however. You can use on the other hand. You can use in contrast. You can use nevertheless. Those are all examples. Because you can use as a result. You can use leads to. You can use due to, owing to. So you'll notice that for and, but, and because, these are very low-level words. So what you can do instead is you can use these high-level linkers. And once you use a high-level linker, it immediately becomes complex. I'll give you an example. I like junk food. Period. However, it's bad for my health. So what you'll notice here is I have a simple sentence. That's fine. This is simple. Okay, so ignore this. But what you need to look for is this. It's bad for my health. This is the complete sentence. This is the incomplete sentence. So once you have an advanced linker, it also becomes a complex sentence automatically because this is incomplete. This is complete, this is incomplete. And it doesn't matter if you use in addition, right? In addition, it's bad for my health. Still, it would be incomplete. It's bad for my health would be complete. So it doesn't matter what advanced linker you use, it will immediately become complex. Okay, so once again, relative pronouns, who, which, that, whose, right? Then you have subordinate clauses. Then you have conditional clauses, and then we have just done advanced linkers. Lastly, I'm going to be talking about participle clauses. Now I've saved the best for last, and when I say that, it's actually just the most difficult. It's not the best, just the most difficult. So what are participle clauses? So participle clauses are when you change the verb into ed or ing and you drop the subject. I'll give you an example. It's very difficult. So if, or let me use a higher level word. So provided that you don't understand, it's fine. I'm only telling you this as you may want to get a much higher mark. So this is an option. However, I do realize it is complex. Biking to work. I saw some roadkill. So you'll notice, now you may be asking, what is roadkill? Roadkill is when an animal is killed by a car on the road. So you might see like a dead cat or a dead bird because of a car collision. That is called roadkill. So you'll notice this is the complete sentence. I saw some roadkill. The incomplete sentence is biking to work. The reason is there's no subject here. You'll notice in I saw some roadkill, the I is the subject. Well, biking to work, there's no subject. But because we have the I here, we don't need it here. The person that's biking to work is the same subject. So this is incomplete, this is complete. I'll give you an example of an ED sentence. Threatened by the dog, the man walked the other way. So once again, you'll notice the man walked the other way. This is the complete sentence. Threatened by the dog is the incomplete sentence. Okay? So these are the participle clauses. The verb, right, has been changed to ing or into ed. And then you can make it a complex sentence. So generally, those are the 5 ways that you can make complex sentences. You can use relative pronouns, who, which, that, those, or whatever, whose. Subordinate clauses, because, while, until, before, after. You can use conditional clauses, if, when, provided that. You can use, you can use high-level linkers, in addition, moreover, nevertheless. Lastly, you can use participle clauses. Now, we have a question. Sunny, roadkill is an uncountable noun. Correct. Roadkill is uncountable. There is no roadkills. There are no roadkills. Correct. It is uncountable. Okay. Now, I'm going to teach you, just for this last part, about how to combine all of these things together to score the maximum marks. Now, I've taught you singularly each one. So I've taught you about these 5 different ways to make complex sentences. Your job, if you really want to impress the examiner, is to be able to not only use the complex sentences one by one, you have to be able to actually use them in conjunction with everything else. So I'm going to give you some examples because they can be quite rough. This is a complex sentence, and you're going to see just how advanced this writing is. And all it simply happens to be is the combination of a few of the 5 ways to make complex sentences. So you'll notice, start with the participle clause, swimming a lot yesterday. So this is incomplete, which is something I enjoy. Incomplete. I was able to see my friend Tim. Complete. Who I had not seen for a long time. So you'll notice we have 3 incomplete sentences, 1 complete sentence. This is an excellent, magnificent, astonishing, marvelous, incredible, stupendous, spectacular, superb, incredible, complex sentence. Because what we've done is we don't only have 1 incomplete sentence, we now have 3. So you notice the participle clause, which is something I enjoy. We have the relative pronoun. I was able to see my friend Tim, who, another relative pronoun. So we used 2 of the ways to do it. I mean, there are other ways, right? If we had stuff before, I mean, if I started a story, I could say, to begin, swimming a lot yesterday. Then this would be another way to make it an incomplete sentence. And now I've got the linker, right? So you'll notice I've got all these incomplete sentences and only 1 complete sentence. This is a very awesome complex sentence. And that is what they're expecting if you want to score maximum marks on any exam. If you read an English newspaper, you'll notice that most of the sentences are like this. They have multiple dependent or incomplete sentences, and then only 1 complete sentence or 1 independent clause to make the whole thing work together. All right, let's make one last one. If you have any questions, please let me know. We're going to finish up. I'll give you one more example, then we'll be done for tonight. Ask me questions now, or forever hold your peace. Okay, here's another complex sentence. I got a question here, so Saturday's okay. You can watch it on replay. But here we go. Let's take a look. In addition, after being yelled at by my boss, I found something strange that I didn't think anyone would ever find due to my working position. So, once again, maybe you can think about where the complete and incomplete sentences are, but I'm going to tell you right now. So, in addition is incomplete. After being yelled at, once again, you have after, the subordinate clause, so this is also incomplete. I found something strange that I didn't think anyone would ever find. So, I found something strange is complete. That I didn't ever think I would ever find. This is incomplete because we have a relative pronoun. Due to, you have a subordinate clause, my working position. So once again, you have a linker, incomplete. After being yelled at, you have a subordinate clause, incomplete. Relative pronoun that, incomplete. Due to, you have a subordinate clause, incomplete. So once again, you have all these different ways of making the sentence complex. The only sentence here that is standing or could stand by itself is, I found something strange. Everything else is incomplete. And if you write like this, you will score maximum marks on anything. Because this is the most complex the writing can become. It cannot become any more difficult. So, just to recap, generally 5 ways to do or to make complex sentences. Relative pronouns, like that, who, which, whose, whom. You can use subordinate clauses, so they have one here, due to. There's other ones, as, since, while. You can use, so after subordinate clause, as an example. The third one is conditional clauses, if, when, provided that. We don't have that here. Fourth, we have high-level linkers, however, nevertheless, on the other hand. Lastly, participle clauses. We don't have one here. We had one in the last example. So if you know, or let me rephrase, I'll use a high-level if linker. As long as you know about these complex sentence makers, that's great, then you can go to the next step. And that is to combine many of them into one sentence. So you can have the best possible complex sentence that you could ever write or speak. All right. I don't have anything else about complex sentences. I know it is a heavy topic, but definitely if you want to ask. Okay to say, question, yelled by my boss without the at. Yelled by my boss. Yelled by my boss. It's very strange. It should be yelled at by my boss. Because if you don't have at, can I say I yelled you? I can't do that, right? I have to say I yelled at you. So you need that. You need that preposition there. I know in Chinese or Korean or Vietnamese you don't use that. So you just go like literally in those languages you just say I yelled you. But in English you must have the preposition. You must have the preposition. Okay, good question. Okay, any other concerns? Okay. All right, so that's going to be it for tonight. I know complex sentences are, well, let's say complex. That's quite typical. If you want to know about another subject for next week, please let me know. Send me messages, write in the comments. I will take care of it then. If you need more help with this, also please message me. I'm more than happy to try and assist you. Okay, so good job. I hope that the complex sentences really cleared things up. If not, you know where to find me. I will see you all next week at the same time. So hopefully, it's another sentence, question, Sammy. But I can say the cat yelled. Yes, the cat yelled. You can say the cat yelled, but then that is in general, right? That means they just yell generally around them. And it's not directed at anything. That is correct, Sammy. Yes. Yes. You have to use the preposition if it's showing the connection between two things. Yes. So if the cat yells at something, you need at. But if the cat just yells, then that's also fine. Very good. Okay, hopefully I don't need to do any more yelling. No more yelling cats. See you all next week. Bye for now. Toodaloo.